Pompey Sound. Updates, the latest from Fratton Park, on the hour, every hour. Fueled by Piglet's Pantry. Click piglets.pantry.co.uk to get your fill.
John Mousinho has confirmed that Pompey will be without star striker Colby Bishop for the Championship season opener after he picked up a groin injury in training. Bishop was noticeably missing from Pompey's 1-0 win over Pecks Vale and Wednesday's friendly against Brighton's under-21s, where he watched from the stands as young Thomas Waddingham stepped up with a last-minute winner from Florian Bianchini's cross. Speaking to the News, Mousinho shared the disappointing news: Colby's picked up a groin injury that's likely to keep him out for 2 to 3 weeks. We're hoping for a quick recovery, but it looks like he'll miss the Championship opener at Oxford United on August 9th. It's just one of those things that can happen during pre-season with all the training. We've done our best to avoid injuries, but sometimes they're unavoidable, Mousinho added. The injury comes at a frustrating time, with Bishop having just bagged a brace in Pompey's impressive 4-0 victory at Reading last weekend before being substituted on the hour mark. The only other player in the treatment room is Tom McIntyre, though he's already back in training this week after a minor setback. With Bishop sidelined, all eyes will be on Waddingham to fill the void, with the Australian youngster already showing promise during pre-season.
Now then, what is it the colour sergeant, big bloke, colour sergeant Bourne, says to his troops in Zulu when things are looking a little bit less than perfect? Steady, lad. Something like that. Steady, lads. Come on, yeah, let's be steady. 2 to 3 weeks. Colby Bishop was sitting one seat away from me throughout the first half. Dressed like for a game of tennis. He had shorts on, white shorts, white socks, white trainers, and a light grey top. And he was looking immaculate. He looked fit as a fiddle, and he was certainly the fittest person in the South Stand. And he was on his phone a little bit, but most of the time he was watching the game. He was watching intently how his team, his club, Pompey, were faring against a pretty slick, fast, well-disciplined Dutch side, and you knew that he was longing to be out there. And he'll be longing to be out there against Oxford and against Norwich. He'd probably even want to be out there against, is it Reading we've got in the Carabao Cup? Because we know he wants to play. And it means that Waddingham now has got a week to prepare himself for his first full debut game, followed by another full debut game, in all probability. Goodness me, if he gets injured. Yeah, touch wood against that. But let's look on the bright side. I nearly said at half-time, when everyone got up to go and grab a beer, and he was just in front of me in the queue to go down the stairs, and I almost said to him, it would have, I hope, been well received. I was just going to say, "Oh, Colby, this time last year, eh, mate?" I'm glad I didn't, because he's under a small cloud again, because he wants to be out there, he wants to be fit, and he wants to be played, he wants to score goals. So how did Waddington, his erstwhile replacement, do? If you were there, I think you will have the same opinion that I do. He started tentatively. He wasn't able to do what Colby Bishop is able to do time and time again, season after season. Schmidt picks him out with a long clearance, and Colby would get underneath it, and he would back into the centre-half who was vying with him for the ball, and he'd do it brilliantly. He'd just back in, and he'd be all over the centre-half in front of him, obscuring his view of the ball, obscuring and blocking his opportunity to get his head to it first. Waddingham was consistently 2 or 3 paces off the centre-half who got to the ball first and was able to make a clean header. That's a technique thing. They'll no doubt be working on that. They will have spotted that. Schmidt stopped giving him the ball long and in the air after a couple of them didn't stand a chance. But he grew as the game went on. He's a good presser of the ball, as good a nuisance up front as Colby Bishop is, and he bagged a good goal. Have you seen it? He bagged a good goal. As I remember it, because I haven't seen it back, Connor Ogilvie, who yet again was 9.5 for me, threaded a beautiful ball through to what should have been Josh, but it wasn't Josh. It was the new boy, Bianchini. I've probably got that name wrong. I'll get there. And off he went. I don't know if he's as quick as Murph's, but he's quick. And he got the cross in. And it wasn't along the deck. It was a couple of feet off the deck. And so Waddington did really well to steer it into the goal. It was the 89th minute. It was into the Fratton end. The players all ran down to the goal line to join in his celebration, which was muted because it was a friendly, and he wanted to make sure, I think, that credit where credit was due, because it was a set-up for him, but he still had to finish it. And he was in the right place at the right time, and he finished it, and he finished it well. So credit there. So we finally have a fly in the ointment. We've had a magnificent, absolutely humming pre-season, haven't we? Unbeaten, clean sheets, good goals, plenty of them. Sometimes not against the greatest opposition, of course, but you can only beat them. And sometimes it's not that easy. Some sides, not that further down the leagues than us, have been struggling against non-league sides who pull out all the stops. They want to do well. Everyone pulled out the stops against us. They wanted to do well. They wanted to be able to tell their grandchildren when they get home. It's an old joke, but it works well. So a good pre-season. Just that there is this fly in the ointment now. We have to hope that when we hear 2 to 3 weeks, that is 2 to 3 weeks before he is back 100%, firing on all cylinders and doing what he does. Because that might mean he's only going to miss 2 games. And I say only going to miss 2 games. That's 2 games too many. Is he our first automatic pick? I think he is, don't you? So get well soon, Colbs. Pompey reporters have been talking to John Swift about his reaction to the Zwolle game. They say this:
"It was a first half that will not live long in the memory of more than 8,000 fans inside Fratton Park, but Pompey certainly perked up after the break in the summer's final pre-season outing against Dutch side PEC Zwolle. Thomas Waddingham turned home an 89th minute Florian Bianchini delivery to ensure the hosts secured victory. And John Swift was pleased with the way the Blues overcame some earlier difficulties to produce an impressive performance. The midfielder said, "We found it hard to get the press right in the first half hour, but then we started to get the hang of dealing with our opponents. I played a little bit deeper than I did at Brighton earlier in the week and was just trying to drop to get possession as much as possible. Perhaps we could have scored a couple more, but we were able to get one right at the end to win the game. We were able to pick up a lot of second balls and managed to control the game better, creating a few chances. Perhaps we could have scored a couple more, but we were able to get one right at the end to win the game. The friendlies are now over with, and the championship action begins, with a trip up to Oxford next weekend." Swift said, "It's exciting, and we're going into the first game feeling confident because we have strength in defence and going forward. Hopefully we can put in a good performance and show everyone that we're moving in the right direction. But I also know that Fratton Park is a great place to be, and we'll see that when we get back here and the fans are behind us."
If you were there, and actually you didn't have to be there, you kind of read about it, John Swift is turning into quite an acquisition. He's got the lot, and he's very combative, and he wanted to make sure that he gave that impression during the game. The Dutch were firm but fair, but he cut one of their players in half. I think it was in the second half, on the halfway line. It was a kind of a 50-50. I think their guy had most of the ball, but in came Swift, and it was a cruncher. I was amazed that there were no cards. There was a card later on in the game, but in a normal championship game, that would have been a card, big card, I think. And there was an element of retribution about it for something that nobody else saw. But certainly he wanted to imprint himself on the mind of the player who got up straight away. So perhaps it looked worse than it was. A free kick was given, and that was about the size of the penalty. And somebody else received a very wholehearted tackle from Conor Ogilvie. And you don't come out of those, the better for the experience. And the person I was sitting next to said, I think that had an element of revenge about it. I said, well, I didn't see anything done to Conor by anybody that would call for a tit for tat. So maybe Pompey were just making sure that all of the dimensions of the beautiful game were in place. Beautiful passing, elegant skills, and a good, solid, I'm not going to say aggressive, I'm going to say properly combative approach to the game all the way up to winning the 50-50s and maybe even winning the 40-60s that are in their favour. These are all important dimensions of the game. And if you can't sharpen them right up to peak fitness in your penultimate game before the season starts, then when are you going to hit that peak fitness? So I get the impression, I think it's reasonable to take from John Swift's performance. He was everywhere. He was very busy. He's got this long-range diagonal right-to-left ball that he loves to feed out to whoever's wide left for Pompey, and we love whoever's out wide left for us to be getting the ball. And he pumps it out there with great accuracy. Not quite enough speed for me. Long balls need to be delivered flat and fast because if you float them, then the defender has an opportunity to get in on the recipient and make himself known. And there can be an inadvertent element of ambulance ball about a long one that's delivered and comes down like a butterfly with sore feet. But his overall game is so impressive, and I think we knew it would be, didn't we? I mean, weren't we champing at the bit when we found out there was a possibility he might come home, and weren't we all disappointed when the word was that it had fallen through? And no doubt it was just all negotiation, which is all fair in love, war and football. They were negotiating a piece of John Swift, and John Swift was negotiating a piece of Pompey. And in the end, it was a win-win thing. We've got him. He talks a good game, he plays a great game, and we're very lucky to have him. And in spite of the news about Colby Bishop, we cannot wait for Saturday.
Pompey's pre-season saw 6 wins and a draw from 7 matches, with 17 goals scored and none conceded. It all concluded with a 1-0 victory over Dutch top-flight outfit PEC Zwolle at a warm and sunny Fratton Park. Thomas Waddingham turned home a cross from on-loan forward Florian Bianchini late on to settle the contest. And although John Mousinho is happy at what he has seen over the past few weeks, he knows that next Saturday's championship opener at Oxford is when it really counts. He said, "We were facing a top European side who moved the ball around and caused us some problems. So we tweaked a few things at the break, and it was a completely different performance in the second half. We deserved to win the game. It's nice to play well and win, but we're ultimately going to be judged on what happens at this time next week. That wasn't the most important thing at this stage of the season, but it's still nice to come away with a positive result. We'll have to look back on the things we could have done better in the first half, while trying to build on what we did so well in the second. I'm encouraged by what I've seen from us in pre-season, while also not getting carried away by games where there are no points available. It's nice to play well and win, but we're ultimately going to be judged on what happens at this time next week. Everyone's always pleased when the competitive fixtures come back around, and it's an exciting time for us all."
It has been a decent closed season, but you don't count your chickens. The results in the friendlies have been good, apart from the Colby Bishop glitch. We've picked up no other injuries that we know about. Our opponents on Saturday, Oxford United, they seem to be preening themselves after a decent win abroad, part of their summer training against Malaga, mighty Malaga. And the Oxford United boss, Gary Rowett, has been going on about the fact that Oxford didn't get a single penalty last season. They're one of only 2 clubs out of the entire 92 or whatever it is who never got a single penalty last season. So he's sort of tongue-in-cheek hinting at some kind of conspiracy against them, which is what you do, I suppose. They are looking at acquiring a couple of Liverpool youngsters, which would, if it were to impact us because they arrived in the next couple of days, give us something unawares to think about. But now, who are they? Bear with me whilst I go hunting for that information. One of the names rings a bell. The other name I wasn't too sure about. Yeah, it's James McConnell, who I have heard of, but I can't give you much more than that. He's been out on the radar, a promising youngster, and another young fella, Lewis Kumas, whose name is new to me. But if you're on Liverpool's books, you're on Liverpool's books, you're a decent player. Plenty of other clubs are after them, it says in the report, which is from an Oxford newspaper. So there's nothing done and dusted about that. Oxford are one of the favourites, if not the favourite, to be relegated from the Championship. So apart from having that fixture at home, which would have been 100%, I look at the betting, and Betfair have got Pompey and Oxford equal at 2.74 for the game, and a draw to be the slight outsider at threes. So it's wide open. Good, decent start to the season. Will we take a point on the board? Yeah.